Have your children left home? Have you realized that you have spent so much time and energy raising your children and now you don't know what comes next? Do you feel lost or maybe even irrelevant? Welcome to the Seasons of Joy podcast. My name is Jill Pack. This is episode number 170 entitled Why, Not What. Today, I want to talk about something that I see many midlife women struggle with after our children leave home. Recently, I was having a conversation with a dear friend who was going through what I went through several years ago. Her youngest had just left home, and she looked at me and she said, "Jill, I don't know what to do with myself. For years, my purpose was raising my kids. Now what? What am I supposed to do with the rest of my life?" I felt my heart just ache for her because I remembered that feeling so well. We've all heard the phrase, finding your purpose. There are books about it, podcasts dedicated to it, life coaches who specialize in helping people discover their next what. And I think that's wonderful. I really do. But I believe we might be asking the wrong question. What if instead of asking, what should I do next, we start asking, why do I do what I do? Let me tell you what I mean. When my youngest was heading into her senior year of high school, I began to feel lost, completely lost. I'd spent nearly 3 decades being needed every single day in some way. Someone always needed a meal, a ride, help with homework, a listening ear, a hug. My days were structured around meeting the needs of my family, and I loved it. But then suddenly, the house was quiet. My husband Phil would leave for work, and I would stand in my kitchen looking around at the silence. And I remember thinking, now what? I felt like I needed to find my next big thing, my next purpose. I needed to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I started making lists. Maybe I should go back to school. Maybe I should start a business. Maybe I should volunteer more. Maybe I should learn a new skill. Or maybe I should get my real estate license, which I did. But every time I tried to focus on the what, I just felt more confused. It was during this time that I discovered life coaching, and that journey eventually led me to where I am today. But the real breakthrough didn't come from figuring out what I was going to do. It came from understanding why I was doing anything at all. Here's what I discovered. My why had always been the same, even when my children were home. Whether I was packing lunches, helping with science projects, driving to soccer games, or staying up late talking with one of my kids, my why was always connection. It was always about love. It was always about helping others feel seen and valued and supported. It was about pointing others to our Savior, being his disciple, a disciple of Jesus Christ. The what was just the vehicle. And suddenly I realized that my why hadn't changed just because my kids had moved out. My desire to create connection, to offer love, to help others feel valued, that was all still there. That was me. That was still me. The only thing that needed to change was the what, the way I expressed that why. So instead of asking, what should I do with my life? I started asking, how can I continue to live out my why in this new season? And that shifts everything. Because when you know your why, the what becomes so much clearer and so much less overwhelming. For me, coaching became a natural extension of what I always had been doing, creating safe spaces for people to be heard and loved and guided. The podcast became another way to offer connection and hope. Speaking to groups of women became a way to help others feel less alone in their struggles. But here is the beautiful thing. Your why might express itself completely differently than mine. And that's exactly as it should be. Maybe your why has always been about creating beauty through decorating your home, planning family gatherings, making nutritious meals. Well, that why doesn't disappear when your kids leave. It just finds new expression. Maybe it's interior design. Maybe it's event planning. Maybe it's teaching cooking classes. Maybe it's creating art. Maybe your why has always been about solving problems, like helping your kids work through their conflicts, managing the family schedule, finding solutions when things went wrong. That gift doesn't just disappear or evaporate. It just needs a new outlet. Maybe it's consulting. Maybe it's working with nonprofits. Maybe it's mentoring other parents. Maybe your why has always been about teaching and nurturing growth, like helping your children learn and develop. That passion for growth and learning doesn't just leave because your kids graduated. Maybe it's tutoring, maybe it's writing, maybe it's mentoring, maybe it's going back to school yourself. The point is this: you are not starting over from scratch. You are not broken or without purpose. You have spent decades developing and refining your unique gifts and your unique why. This season isn't about finding a completely new purpose. It's about recognizing the purpose that has always been there and finding new ways to live it out. I think about the Savior and his ministry. His what took so many different forms. Sometimes he was teaching in the temple, sometimes he was healing the sick, sometimes he was walking on water, sometimes he was sharing a meal with his disciples, sometimes he was weeping with those who mourned. The what was always changing, but his why never did. His why was love. It was connection. It was lifting and healing and serving. Our gifts from our heavenly parents, they're part of how they designed us. They don't expire when our children grow up. So my invitation to you today is this: stop asking what I should do next and start asking, why do I do what I do? And then think back over your life. What has always mattered to you? What has always driven you? What brings you alive? What do people always come to you for? That's your why. And once you know your why, trust that the what will come. Maybe it will be something completely new. Maybe it will be a return to something you loved before you had children. Maybe it will be a combination of things that bring you joy. But it doesn't have to be one big thing. It doesn't have to be a complete life overhaul. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's journey. It just has to be you, living out your unique why in whatever ways feel authentic and life-giving. And there's something else I want you to remember. This isn't about finding busy work to fill your empty nest. This is about recognizing that you have been preparing for this season your whole entire life. Every challenge you faced, every skill you've developed, every lesson you have learned, it has all been preparing you for this incredible season of life that you are entering now. A season where you get to choose how to spend your time and energy based on what matters to you the most. A season where you get to love and serve and create and contribute in ways that align with your unique gifts. A season where you get to discover parts of yourself that maybe got set aside during the intense years of raising children. This season is not a consolation prize. It's not what you get stuck with after the real purpose of your life is over. This season is a gift. The question isn't, what should I do with this gift? The question is, why am I grateful for this gift? And how do I want to steward it? If you're like my friend and you're wondering what you should do with the rest of your life, think about those moments when you felt most alive, most yourself, most connected to who you really are. As you remember your why, you will probably start smiling. Your eyes might light up and you might even sit a little straighter because you are remembering your why. And once you see your why, you can start exploring all the beautiful what's that are waiting for you. So friends, as we navigate this season together, let's start with why. Why do you do what you do? What has always mattered to you? What unique gift do you bring to the world? Trust that, honor that, celebrate that, and then watch as the what's unfold in ways more beautiful than you have ever imagined. You're not too old, you're not irrelevant, and you are not without purpose. You, my friend, are just getting started. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you a wonderful week of discovering your beautiful why. If you want to explore this further, I would love to connect with you at seasons-coaching.com, and I'll see you next time.